welcome to a new GameCast show, and it's going to be a bit different because look, I have green screen. That might show up if I do that. There. And yes, this is probably going to look very crap because I've not ironed the whole green thing, but it might work, so we'll see. Also my hair's a pain in the arse, especially when it comes to things like this, so it's going to be loads of greeny bushy outlines, then there is, and I might start tying my hair up for these. But we'll see. This show, a new show, is about basically new releases of the week that I think are worthy of interest, ones that might have been buried under the mountain of utter horseshit that ends up on Steam. So let's get going with that thing that I'm doing called GC Release Day. This is what happens when you wing it. Now, the format going forward will be a thing of one per week, but I'm going to break that thing slightly this week just because it's the first one. I'm going to go back a tiny bit. And a general rule of thumb will be no AAA games will be mentioned because every fucker under the sun, especially people who's going to watch these videos, will know about the AAA releases. However, one release that I'm mentioning this week is, well, not AAA, it's quite well publicised, so there's that, but I think it's interesting. We will start with a game that I actually own. I've been playing quite a bit of. It's Rock of Ages 2. This game is basically it's a sequel to Rock of Ages, funnily enough. And they have taken the basic concept of Rock of Ages, which was just Monty Python meets boulder rolling, because it does, and they've expanded it completely, made a bigger, better story campaign. The visuals have been improved, it looks gorgeous, and basically just made everything a little bit better, added some more things into it. The game costs about £10. Do your own calculations or equivalents for yourselves, but that is a very good deal for what is a very good game. It's done in Unreal, if that sort of thing interests you, and it is just as funny, if not funnier than the first, and you are playing as Atlas, and the plot is that you dropped the Earth, picked up a boulder instead, and have now fled to Earth in, just to flee God, who might want to kill you because you dropped the Earth. And you have to do boulder rolling fights against a load of historical figures and concepts, including the Scream painting. Yeah, I'm being serious, I got a funny look. Vincent van Gogh, who for some reason is some kind of weird paint-spewing spider monster. That's a thing. It's very funny, love the sense of humour in the game, very Monty Python, if that means anything to anybody, and just beautiful. Go and play Rock of Ages 2. Another little thing that I find interesting this week is Card City Nights 2. It's the week of sequels today, although no, there's only 2 sequels, but you know, another interesting one. Card City Nights was a game, very odd little game. It's very odd, I don't quite know how to describe it, because you're just sort of laying things down on the field, and they have loads of different interactions, and they can only interact if things are placed in a certain way. It's a very odd little game, but it's also very fun. And now there's a sequel. The series itself is actually a spin-off of the Ital Dew series, if that means anything to any of you, of which that's getting a second game, or it's had a second game. And this just looks like an expanded version of the card game, more cards, more combinations, maybe a little tighter. I would certainly hope so, because that was my one criticism, is a little bit sort of all over the place. But, you know, it's a good game, and I really recommend you check that out, if not the sequel that is now out. Next up is Beat the Game. Now, Beat the Game is not quite as sort of weird as you might think it is, but it's actually quite a good pun on the title because it is about music. Get it? Musical beats. Beat the game. Like Parappa the Rapper is pretty not like Parappa the Rapper in any way, shape or form. Don't know where I was going with that tangent at all. Beat the Game is actually an adventure style puzzly game where you use sounds and songs to help you progress through the game. Very odd. I don't quite understand how that's working, but you know, that's what makes it interesting. It's quite a fun little premise there. It's not actually a rhythm game, which is what I initially thought when it said you're doing things with music, but looks more like a sort of, you're using music and sounds to help you actually get through the game, like in a very odd way. I don't know, is it a bit like the sort of the Zelda Ocarina things, or is it a bit more in depth than that? I don't actually know. But what I do know is the game looks absolutely gorgeous. It's got a really nice sort of art style. It looks like it could have been done in the Unreal Engine or some similar thing like that, but it's all assets that actually look like they've had some effort put into it. And the music motif is really obvious in it. For instance, rocks have cassette holes in them, so you can play cassettes through rocks, because of course you can. And looks just like a little interesting little thing. It doesn't cost much, it costs £5 at the moment. So if you're looking for a little interesting experience, that might be worth picking up. While it's called Songbringer, this next game, it isn't actually anything to do with music. We're not sticking on that theme, unfortunately. However, it is a very pixely, stylized sort of, I don't know, it looks very Dark Souls-y in its construction, a bit like Jotun, if you remember that, or what's it fucking called? It's the game where you have one arrow, you're a little pixel guy, you have to defeat a load of bosses. Titan Souls, I think. Titan... No, gonna have to look that one up. Yes, it was Titan Souls, I was correct. And looks very much that kind of style, but the pixel art this time is a bit different in its art style. You know what I mean, there's different styles of pixel art, and this is a very sort of, it's not a sort of Viking-y Frozen type thing, it's more colourful, very vibrant, but also very detailed pixel art, and it looks absolutely stunning. And I've been recommended this game by Max, actually. It's quite expensive for an indie game. It's £16, it's about $20. And I don't know if I would pick this up at this price, but it does have very good reviews at the moment, so I'm sort of on the fence about it, but it definitely looks interesting. Its art style caught me immediately. It's absolutely gorgeous. And if it's sort of Titan Souls gameplay, I wouldn't mind that. If it's a very sort of different thing, more hack and slash, again, I wouldn't mind, as long as it plays well. And the final game I'm going to mention, the big budget game, is Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. The reason I mentioned this game this week, because while it's a sort of heavily-ish publicised game, not many people might know of it quite as much as they should, especially the fact that it's launched, because it was, I don't know, it was publicised when it was in development, but then sort of towards launch, the publicity died down a bit, and now it's out, and it's getting very good reviews, which is a very positive thing. And if you like Battlestar Galactica, then this might well be the Battlestar Galactica game you've always wanted. To some purists, it might be a terrible thing because it's based on the newer Battlestar Galactica, the more modern series than the traditional first in the 70s, the 80s series. And that might put some people off, but it looks very interesting to me. It's a very nice looking game. It's a turn-based strategy, 4X. Well, they've got turn-based and things, it looks more real-time to me than turn-based, but I might be incorrect. But anyway, it is a 4X strategy game, set in space, obviously, and you control a fleet, possibly the Colonial Fleet, maybe something different, but you're controlling a Battlestar amongst other things. And it plays out like that. If you like 4X and you like Battlestar, this seems to be a very good combination of the two. A very good 4X game with really nice looking Battlestar Galactica assets. And that brings us to the end of the first episode of GC Release Day. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a like, subscribe, a share, whatever you fancy. And if you have any games that you think I should cover, then please just PM me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @SnowyDuffield, or if you are part of our GameCast Discord, which you can get to in the description, then by all means find me on there and let me know if there's something that I should mention. As always, do please stay tuned for a lot more GameCast content. We have lots more coming up, and you know, just loads of different stuff. We're getting on a lot of nice formats at the moment. I really recommend you try a lot of them out. The news, Pocket Edition, which is like little 5-10 minute opinion pieces, or our lovely newscast, which I am a big fan of, mostly because I host it. And we've got a lot of lovely reviews and whatever as well. So, you know, go check that out. There's something for everyone. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time for more game things that you might be interested in.